going on? I wanted to make a video of a statue that is highly collectible that you'll make some pretty good money if you find these at an estate sale primarily. Sometimes garage sales, sometimes auctions if you do that as well. But if you can see them behind me, I'll go more in depth, but these are called Lladros. Lladro, some people pronounce it differently, but these are highly collectible. They're kind of a pain in the butt to ship if you don't get the original box that has a styrofoam molded to them, which I'll talk about also, but it's worth your time. Usually you can find them if people don't necessarily want to try to sell them on eBay. They'll give them at a pretty good discount, mainly like 5, 10, 20 bucks, and I would get them if I were you, just because I'll show you the comps and you could probably make an educated guess on what they would go for at an estate sale, especially if you go maybe on the last day on like a Sunday where they have things marked like 50% off, 75% off, etc. Sometimes you'll want to wait and pick them up then. But let me get to it, show you what these are worth, and show you some comps and mention some tricks of the trade as far as finding these out in the wild. All right, so the first thing I want to let you be aware of is the color scheme. Most of them are stereotypical. Their brand is about having a really shiny, almost like a real thick glaze. And then they have like pastel. Think of like Easter colors, like the light coloring everywhere. And notice the real shiny coat. So you can almost pick them apart. When you're walking into a sale, you can kind of notice them right away just because of the way the glaze is and the color scheme. Now let me show you what the bottom looks like. There you go. And it's pretty easy to look these up just because there's not so many of them out there. The ones that are worth more are the ones that are retired, that they call it, out of circulation, etc. And usually you'll find these towards the more like the collectible side of things on a curio cabinet inside like their living room, dining room, maybe behind their main formal dining sitting areas in a lit up cabinet. That's typically where you'll find them. Maybe you'll find them somewhere else where they have a special display or whatever. But people that buy these brand new or buy them and collect them, they usually will put them on display somewhere at the house that's not just thrown in a corner. They put them pretty prominent. So that's where you'll want to look, and obviously look for the color scheme, the glaze, the marking on the bottom you want to see. And then if they're loose like this, the value goes up tremendously if you were to ask them, do you have the original box? Always ask them, because they might not know, but they also might say, hey, you know, there's a bunch of boxes of collectibles just thrown up in the attic. You're more than welcome to go take a quick peek to see if you see one. And all of the boxes are kind of like, if you're familiar with Tiffany boxes, how they have like that purplish blue. That's typically what the boxes are for Lladro. That's the color scheme also. It's like a really light blue box. And usually there'll be like a little sticker on the outside of the box that has sometimes the graphic of the actual statue, but it'll say what it goes for. So if you are buying these, always ask if they have the box. If they don't, you can use that as a bargaining chip and say, oh, that decreases the value, but it still doesn't deter you. I still recommend buying these even without the box, because even though it's a little bit of a pain to ship, they do bring good ROIs. So like say, for example, the bigger the better. The smaller ones obviously don't command as much. Like, for example, I don't know if I'll be able to find a comp because this one's kind of rare. This one sells for about $1,200, anywhere between $9 and $12, depending on the demand. But if you can't find one and it's the only one online, then you can ask a little bit more. That's obvious. And I'll show comps for all of these. That one might bring like, 30, 40 bucks. That one back there, I think, is like $100. This one's like 100, 120. This one's maybe 140. Up here, these are maybe up into the $200 range, and I'll be dropping comps for all of these. But it's just something that if you're sourcing things to resell on eBay or whatever platform, these are highly sought after. There's still a good collector base, unlike down here, where I do not recommend getting precious moments unless you find, like this is the nativity set. That's an exception. The nativity set still has a good demand, but a lot of times bypass those. But original box, look for the highly glazed pastel color statues. The bottom will say, like you'll see now, let's see if it'll show it. I might have to flip it upside down. I don't want to lift up that big one just for safety reasons. But here's what you'll see. They're from Spain. Always ask if they have the box. And it is worth your time to go take a quick peek up in the attic or in like a junk closet that they might have. Because these people that hold the estate sales, they don't necessarily care or even want to mess with things. They just want to walk into the door and sit down on a chair and, you know, collect people's money. They don't want to do too much work or legwork as far as climbing around looking for boxes. So they might not even worry about trying to find it. So that's why you have to ask. And sometimes if you volunteer the work to do it, they won't care. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I'm a reseller down here in the Houston, Texas area, Clear Lake, NASA. And if you like this type of information and you want to learn more tips and tricks of other items that are worth some money that you might not know about, feel free to like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks. Peace.